Hello, hello, hello. Let me turn down this musical interlude. Hello, everybody. How you all doing? Hello, Nemeth. Hello, Gwen. Hello, Shark Dog. I hope you're doing very, very good. So today is El bonus episode numero 2. Poke, hello, hello. Thank you very much for the horn. Thank you all for horns. Sorry, Shark Dog, that I interrupted yours because I opened Firefox and it made it go weird. We are... Yeah, so today the plan is as follows. It's going to be quite freeform, pretty loosey-goosey. So ask lots of questions because I will be reading chat, and hopefully the gang will also interrupt me. But I'm going to be going over some more descriptions of some stuff in the world because it came up like last week. Describing how the species in Kithmeros are would be helpful to people. So like my dwarves are different to normal dwarves, my elves are different to normal elves, how they relate to each other, that sort of thing. In general terms. And also we're going to go over the big events of the time interlude between the campaigns. So the approximate time between what we just finished with Oikos Pika is 42 years to the new campaign. I haven't decided what season it's going to be set in, but it's probably going to be set in the autumn. Because I generally start campaigns when you start them as the season. I know that time will pass faster than the campaign will, but that generally is how I do it. So yeah, I'll cover like the big wars, big conflicts, big changes, and also explain like the redone maps and stuff like that, and draw people's attention to the resources that are on the Discord if you want to read this as well. Because I think actually I can look. I think that I've put everything available so far. No, I have to upload this. No. Yeah, it is. It is there. Never mind. I have done it. It's the song is ending history is most of what the document that we're going to do today is. And the species stuff, I haven't uploaded it in a while because it has technically been updated, but what is on there is fine for most stuff. So that's the plan. So feel free to ask lots of questions and chit chat. We have some people here to listen in and to ask questions and stuff like that. And there might be more people later. I do not know. I cannot speak. I do not know how long this is going to go. And if a lot of very good questions come up, then we will do another session next week. If not, something else might happen. I do not know. Yet. I have no announcements to make on that. But before I go over, I just want to put it on more chill background music. Yeah, definitely. Gwen would never do that. So the regular buttons just so everyone has them. And then that one, I think. Yes. There we go. Because I'm not going to enable the things because yeah. And one, if I enable them on the D&D stream, I will forget to unenable them at some point when we are actually in session. So I'm not turning them back on. In fact, they're not actually on that tab, so they won't go through. But I will acknowledge everything at the end. Where are we going? There we are. And then we need to go over here. Where do we go? Oh, look, there's an M there. Let's see if we can catch the end of any weird sentences.
Well, if I'm already swapping out the power supply, I guess I'll finally add top and back fans.
Oh, yeah, that's good stuff.
I'm sorry.
Ah? I mean, I was trying to be as quiet as possible. It's great.
Oh, yeah, no, I just
heard
looked
the
at your
badum.
thing, you came in, and then I saw Wheat's,
Oh, Yes.
Oh God, yes, that's that's amazing.
I
It's,
love it.
I'm gonna
It's a Sean Bean creation.
Oh my
shocking.
God.
Yeah.
It's
That's
incredible.
amazing.
Hello,
Yeah,
everybody.
Oh yeah. You know, we'll tell a story another
Hi.
time.
Yeah, I mean, we can tell stories away, but I was just going to say hello to everyone. Hello, Gwen.
Hi. Totally not playing
Hello.
WoW.
You're totally not playing well. No. Hello, Nemit.
Hello.
Hello, M.
Hello.
Oh no, we've been joined by a sick Victorian orphan.
See you soon.
Please remember to give pieces of bread and soup to a character who will soon be featuring in a version of Oliver Twist.
Hmm.
Wheat.
Hello.
That is something else, sweet. Anyway, story time now. Go on.
It's not much of a story. I just was doing my my
That doesn't
little
work,
what's
does
it
it?
like my stream for Phoenix Wright with Redux. And you know, for a while now we've been saying since I've grown a beard, my old orb hasn't been particularly accurate. So I just in my Discord posted like my massive collection of wheat orbs that I have. Wheat orb is what I call my pink circle, and so I should probably not use that sentence too many times, if I'm being honest.
No,
And
no. In fact, some may say you've already used it too many times.
yes, that's probably once too many. Anyway, my wheat orbs weren't hairy enough, you see. So,
Oh. Should I mute Wheat, everybody? Should I do it?
I don't have a gagged and blindfolded version of this one, I'm afraid.
Oh well, that's
You're not
That's good.
gagging. You're not gagging your wheat orbs.
Nah, not
Okay,
yet,
fair
not
enough.
yet. But yeah, Sean just saw all those posts in the Discord and was like, oh, without prompting, just and without even being in the stream, just started spending some time in Photoshop making this. And this is the result.
Yeah.
It
Isn't
sure is a
it
result.
horrifying?
yeah, that's
We tweaked the eye color to be somewhat close to mine. Mine aren't quite this dark. But it was interesting because Sean originally made it with brown eyes, just like that's the most common eye color. I don't know what color Wheat's eyes are. Make them brown. And it's interesting how much less intense the eyes look because I regularly get told my eyes are incredibly intense.
that
And
seems correct.
yes, and it is because of they're just basically a light gray, which I think makes them really stand out and look big.
Yeah, because it's
and
the
so we have
rarest eye
here,
color.
yeah, we have
Is
here a
it?
dark gray.
Yeah. Light gray is an eye color that comes from only one part of the world. So anyone who has
Oh.
it, they're related to somebody at some point from that part of the world because it's from the Baltic, basically.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
I think people worked out that it's kind of a version of blue eyes, like the blue eye gene and the gray eye gene are related, but yeah. And it's almost certainly that it got to people elsewhere in the world through Vikings being horny.
Yeah, okay, that
Nice.
makes sense.
So at some point,
Well, there we go.
one of your ancestors met a horny Viking.
Nice. Well,
My
maybe
Well,
not nice, but nice.
Yeah, probably
Yeah.
wasn't, but
Nice
Yeah.
to know. Nice to know.
Nice to know. Yes. Yeah,
One
because
of my
when I was a
friends
child,
did.
my eyes were blue.
Hmm.
Blue with a yellow center.
Oh.
Or a
Well,
sad
black
Estonian
pupils.
shark.
Interesting.
there you go, Wheat. That's the title of your next stream: A Sad Estonian.
What are we
Horny
talking about
Viking or a
Estonia
sad
recently? Oh yeah, it's because I was looking at translations for accident, and Estonian was one of the
Oh,
big
yeah!
ones.
Estonia
What
comes up a lot
was
more than you think it does.
what was the Estonian one? just going to scroll up through our little D&D text. It will be in here somewhere. Onitus, yes.
Oh, yeah, that's where
Onitus
Onitus came from.
was accident. But no, it's set on Balashet.
Yes. Which
Yeah.
was Hungarian?
Yes, Hungarian.
Yes, Hungarian.
Yes, because Romanian didn't have a very good. Romanian was just accident. It's like, oh, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Hmm.
No,
But yeah.
okay. I know that Shark Dog. But the eye color comes from the region, and how it got other places is almost certainly from horny Vikings. Because the people who lived there before the horny Vikings, i.e. all the like Latgalians, Estonians, Latvians, all those lot, they didn't move as much as horny Vikings on boats.
Interestingly, my dad's eyes have retained the blue outside yellow center. And I can't remember what color my mum's eyes are. I literally saw them both today. So, yeah, because they visited. But no idea.
Yeah. I think my eyes are blue-green, so I have normal, some Northern European vaguely eyes.
I have brown green.
Yeah, I don't remember where the green
AKA
is.
hazel.
Yeah. Like brown is the most common one. But yeah, and there are some other pockets of other slight variations on eye colors. There's a whole map of it because it's really very, very specific in populations. Even though obviously because we're much more mingled than we were in the past, that it gets further afield.
Boring brown eyes.
Nothing wrong with brown eyes.
Oh, I too am brown.
Green. Oh, Sharkdog has green.
My sister, and
Oh,
my dad have hazel
better watch
eyes,
out. David Lopan might be coming after you.
The three of us have different colors of hazel, but all three of us are hazel. My sister's more green, my dad is more brown, and I'm in the middle.
That is a good close up.
Yeah, I was aiming for a picture of a bruise, which I was sharing. Not that bruise, right? From someone who has trained kickboxing for like all my life. That bruise is not a result of that. It is a result of me dropping my phone on my face when I was lying in bed.
One of those.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
If you look at the picture you just sent of your eye, if you look at your iris really like carefully, you can see the screaming faces of thousands of people.
That's actually a
Also
reflection
your
of my
phone.
phone. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was on a train when I took that.
Oh, okay. That explains the
So-
window.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
when you dropped your phone as well?
No, I didn't do that.
That
on
would
the
have had to
train.
happen well before.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
no.
this was the bruise fading away because it's already yellow in that picture. And so, yeah, it's quite. I do actually bruise very easily on my face, but this is something I'm able to keep track of through fighting people. So most people don't get hit in the face often enough to notice that kind of thing, but I do, or at least I
Fair.
used to. I've gone off the idea of it now.
I've been kicked in the face.
I've been hit in the face too many times.
Yes.
I mean, surely the idea is to not get kicked in the face.
Kicked in the face, I actually get very little.
Oh, okay. Or hit in
I'm
the
good at-
face
I'm
is
good
the
at-
idea.
Yeah, I'm good at dodging kicks, and most people can't kick very well.
That is true.
But the thing is, like bruises like this, they're not just a result of people hitting you. It's like someone hits your guard and your guard goes into your face, that kind of thing. It's a
Yes.
fairly soft hit, but I still get bruises from it because I don't know, I'm sensitive to them apparently. And yeah, that's that. I actually did lose the last fight I had. This was like 5 years ago at this point. But I also, as well as getting bruised very easily, went in through a period of getting nosebleeds really easily.
Oh.
And I just got a really light graze on the nose in like round 4. It's like, okay, that feels fine. I carry on, and then the ref says, "Hold on, hang on a minute. Your nose is bleeding." Okay, fine, whatever. We'll wipe it off, and then it will stop, and we'll carry on. Didn't stop, so I got disqualified for injury because it was like,
Disqualified for bleeding everywhere.
yeah, because this isn't like a professional fight situation, so it's not like they just can be like, all right, yeah, you can keep going. It's not like it's important.
It's not Aussie rules football.
Exactly. And so it's just like, okay, yeah, we're not going to risk it. That's it. You're done. It's like, oh, I was doing really well in that one as well. But never mind, eh? And that seems, I say that seems to have stopped. But like I say, I've stopped fighting competitively, so I don't really know. But
There
I've
might
been
be
hitting
some correlation.
Yeah, but I've been hitting the nose a few times since just through sparring, and it hasn't bled. So progress.
That's good.
Seem to get there. But I think we're done with that now.
Yeah. Also, an update news. I've been trying for the past 5 minutes to take a picture of my eye, but my phone won't focus, so you're not getting a picture of my eye.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's basically sea colored, is what my eyes are, like stormy sea.
Hmm.
Very good.
So it's that blue green. Definitely not related to my enjoyment of ocean things. Okay. Right. We do we want to do yes, like the color C, the famous color C. Well, that's not my fault, Shark Dog, that you live in the drained remnants of the North Sea. Of course it's brown. It's full of mud.
And bicycles.
No, their
Yeah.
mud is full of water.
Well, that's what they don't like. They get rid of the water in it. Okay, so do we want to do some descriptions of species and things like that first? Some just like that backgroundy world building stuff, or do we want history time with Hog?
Well, this is assuming because you're not sure which to go on first, and you'd like some input. Therefore, are asking for it. I'm stalling for time.
What?
Let's start with the first thing you said.
Okay, species things. Right.
Yeah.
So
Ease people into the history.
I'll only go over kind of the main species in D&D, but be aware.
You mean like the main 10 for the new player's handbook?
Yes, basically. But I have got notes on anything that has had a official rules made for D&D. Like, and that includes the couple of things that I do not include. Such as a Vidalcan, which is a very specific thing to Magic the Gathering.
Yep.
Let's get to the thing. There we go. So, we have the core book ones. Honestly, you know what? Actually, I can. This might work on Steam. Might. Yes, it's not cutting it off in a weird way. Excellent. Perfecto. Well, you see, because I was worried that I'd messed up. So, these are changed because core book now has giants in it. Goliath and Asimar?
Yeah. Goliath and Azamar.
And then those two are gone. So what's 12? What's the 12th then?
12?
Sorry,
No, there's
not
10.
12. 10. That's what I meant to say. There's one more. I can't think of what it is. Dragonborn, Dwarf, Elf, Gnome, Halfling, Human, Tiefling, Goliath, Aasimar,
Orc.
Orc. There we go. That's what it is. Thank you. So, that's
You just
good.
chopped the half off.
Yeah.
It's like a blue light special. Joke for
so
the Americans.
Dragonborn. We'll just go along. Dragonborn, you have all the varieties therein, from basically a scaly human all the way down to you have like a reptile-y head. The more humanoid ones are more common, but the more dragony born ones are like they exist. It just tends to be that they're older families, and they haven't mingled as much as others, is what it comes down to. But they look generally how people imagine Dragonborn do, various degrees of scaliness. Dwarves are not short. They are not below 5 foot on average. Sure, there are short dwarves. They are on average 5 to 5'6", and tall dwarves would be like 5'8". But they are built very squarely. They are very, very, very like sturdily built, very big bones. Kind of like the
Right.
difference between when you see a human skeleton and a Neanderthal skeleton. Like Neanderthals had very chunky arm bones and stuff.
So like a dwarf that we would expect, only scaled up.
Well, it's not scaled up, but yes, scaled up for your purposes, Wheat.
Yeah.
Scaled up
Yeah.
from popular culture as it stands today.
Yes,
But built like a high garden wall as opposed to a typical garden wall.
yeah. I mean, kind of. It's they're stocky. They're not short. Is the idea. Also, most importantly of all, and this cannot be stated as loudly enough, the women have beards too. There we go. And any fantasy universe that does not let dwarf women have beards are cowards. There you go. You don't have to, by the way. Also, you don't have to have a beard if you're a male dwarf either. You can.
Not only can you have a beard, you can shave it off.
Yeah. Exactly.
Or you can be shite at growing them.
So Pratchett dwarves. Yes, Shark Dog. Thank you. Shark Dog knows these are Pratchett dwarves. Yes, you are correct. Okay, elves. Apart from like the individual species like wood elves, high elves, drow. My world is basically divided into two, which I will refer to as new and old elves. Old elves are much more semi-mythical. They do exist, and if somebody wants to play one, it will be a point that people will observe that you look very strange, because it's not what people are used to. But old elves are like Warhammer elves. They are unnaturally tall. All of their features are unsettling in terms of like their proportions versus what people expect. So like they have longer heads, they have longer fingers, they have longer arm bones, and they all they do. They all have completely colored eyes of whatever color their eyes are. So it's just like black.
Skyrim.
Wait, Skyrim eyes aren't like that, are they?
I think for some elves they are.
Maybe. But yeah, like they're a single color, which I know that Warhammer elves, like lots of times they get drawn with completely black eyes. But like black eyes or blue eyes or whatever it is. And if they have a color, they tend to have eyes that, when you look at them very carefully, you know when you have like, oh, see, this is my references are all like model related. You know when you put like a metallic color in resin, how you get this like swirly sparkliness? It's not a useful point of reference. Gel pens?
Hmm.
Right.
So you know how gel pens, like when you see the liquid, it's like swirly and it has these little sparkles in it.
Yeah.
That's what if you look very closely at old elves' eyes, that's what they look like. New elves, as I will term them, are much more like what people expect. They're much more human-like elves. They have not really got exaggerated features in the same way. They also have shorter ears. The old elves have like crazy wow ears, so ears that can go miles behind them.
Ears for days. Gotcha.
Yeah, whereas the new elves tend to have much more reasonably lengthed ears. But the new elves sometimes, like, you'll have a feature that is more similar to old elves, where like maybe your eyes, they look like normal human eyes, but they have that sparkle thing in the color. Or you have longer ears for some reason, but generally you won't have all of these sort of elongated features.
Hmm.
And the height difference, elves or new elves are human height, and then old elves are a foot taller than humans, basically. So they're like 7 feet tall. So yeah. Uh, uh, um. Right. Next, we have gnomes. Gnomes are, I mean, they are very closely related to what elves are. So you can kind of literally just imagine compressed elf. So the more integrated into society a gnome will be, they're more likely to be more what you would expect. If you find a little gnome community that hasn't spoken to anyone in 2,000 years, they're more likely to be more exaggerated features, like with the long ears and stuff like that, because they are related but not from the other world, so they have that Fey stuff going on with them. And gnomes are generally in the 3 to 4 foot range, so they are half the height of people. Half elves, half orcs.
Very good,
Wow,
Emma. Very
wow,
good.
I am. Okay. Oh, halfling. All the quote half species, which we won't be using that term going forth. But if you have like mixed heritage, you will choose how your traits manifest. They manifest in all sorts of wacky and wild ways. We have canonically had catgirls in the thing, so yep.
Yes.
If you
So
Yep.
okay.
yeah, so if you
So
have a
basically,
parent,
meat,
hmm?
half elf, half vampire, random shit. Which is
Yes.
so I think we've already said. I like rare meat. That's not the voice.
Okay. Halflings, they look like hobbits. They have big, leathery, fluffy feet. Um, yeah, I've not really got. They have little pointy ears. Yeah, I don't know. I guess the way to, yeah, they look more like hobbits than they do, because in some D&D art they get depicted as just compressed humans. Like if you take a human and you just change the perspective, they don't look like that. They look like they're they're not just shrunken humans. They are different. With the slightly pointy ears, predilection for curly hair, that sort of thing. One fancy. I mean, yeah, but those look like hobbits. Oh, sorry. Hang on. Not hobbits like in the movie, hobbits in art. Let me go see if I can. See, I don't want to Google on this because I'm gonna get bad things. Probably. Um. I'm trying to see if there was, because I know there's old covers of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings and stuff like that that have spoofs. So I can show you. Yeah, they look like no, hang on. I'm just gonna have a meme for myself. Okay, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's fine.
They definitely look like the Dutch cover of The Hobbit from the 1960s.
Totally know what that is.
Oh,
Oh,
you
well, he's
will.
about to bring it up.
You will in a
Okay.
second. That's what they look like, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
The best cover for any
Perfection.
book ever.
That is
Wow.
amazing.
Thank you, Netherlands. Thank you once again.
I wonder what the title translates to.
The one in the middle isn't.
Yeah, no, that's what hobbits look like. Yeah, look, they just have like very badly shaved legs, and they wear, for some reason, a full
A
body
tent.
cape with a pointy hat.
Yeah, it's a tent. Someone told them what a poncho was, and then they made it into a tent.
If anyone in the Netherlands, by the way, does have a copy of this, please take a picture and send it to me, because it is amazing. But that's not what I was actually looking for. I was looking for I wish I could remember what the printing of the there is one of the covers of the Hobbit has like Bilbo and hobbits on it, but I don't remember what year it is. So yeah, you just have to imagine older art styles of hobbits where they were depicted much more as a separate thing than just little humans. Like they have different features. They have longer arms as well. But they're not. They honestly, what you think a hobbit looks like is gonna be fine for what a halfling looks like. Is the TLDR on it? Why is this so quiet now? Oh, there we go. Let's just quiet a bit of the music. Oh, let's see what Sharkdog found. Yes. Yeah, that'll do. Thank you, Sharkdog. Yes. Warhammer halflings are similar to ye olde style of hobbits, so they have different features, and I guess unlike Warhammer ones, I'm not gonna say that the halflings have a predilection for roundness, because in Warhammer, halflings love nothing more than having a nice meal, so they ended up normally as pot-bellied. That is not canon in my world. Halflings are able to do more than just one thing. Yeah, well, there's not chaos taint in. Well, I mean, maybe there is, but there's not chaos in that sense in my world. So there you go. Humans, literally, you could just put a question mark when they appear, because that's all I have to describe them with.
You're all pretty familiar with humans at this point.
Yeah. Look to your left. If their name isn't Globus Globe, then that's probably what a human looks like. Then we have Tieflings and Aasimar. This is very easy. Tieflings and Aasimar is to do with something about you. So when you describe yourself, you will pick the species that your family comes from, and that's the features that you'll have, because Tieflings and Aasimar is just like devil infused or celestial infused, the whatever you are. But obviously devils will get horns, tails, that sort of thing. There are tieflings that have hooves. There are tieflings that don't have hooves. Again, it's personal choice. And Aasimar have kind of the same thing, but it's angel-like features. They don't get, I mean, unless you get the one that has wings, but what sometimes happens in them, some of them will like have, similar to how tieflings get scales sometimes on their skin, Aasimar can get feathers on their skin, like angel-y feathers. So there's lots of weird things that can happen with them. I guess the point with them in my world is that Aasimar look just as different to regular people as tieflings do. It's just that they look different in a they look different in a different way. Yeah, there you go. That's what I'm trying to say. Tieflings with hooves. Yeah. Satyr are Fae. And I mean, as I've told everybody off stream, if this wasn't supposed to be a PG D&D thing, I would be making satyrs mythologically correct. But this is a PG D&D stream, and so they aren't. So yes, they do kind of just resemble tieflings. But I really want them to
Convergent
not be.
or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, they like their horns are different and stuff like that. There are differences. Also, I don't think that tieflings would really have, unless you wanted to be a particularly hairy person, they wouldn't have hairy legs. That would be a personal choice on your part, that you wanted your character to be specifically very hairy legged, that people mistake them for a satyr. And they have tails. Also, Aasimar sometimes have tails in my world as well, and they're generally very like kind of blonde monkey tails. If they do. Then the last two, the orcs and the Goliath. The Goliath, they are half. No, they're not half giants in D&D. They are different to half giants, but for our purposes, you can think of them as something akin to that. They are a smaller form of giant. In my world, giants, up until very recently, which we'll get to in the history stuff, were thought of to be mythological creatures. Goliaths being the biggest things that people assumed that's what you meant when you were talking about giants, is they would assume you meant Goliaths. They have more of a stony mountain appearance, as they are related to stone giants in my world. So that's how you can think of them. They don't have any other specific differences, really. They are all, their common trait is being tall and very strong. Yeah. Orcs are related to Goliaths in my world, and they are generally a little bit shorter than Goliaths, but their most common feature is that they have elongated teeth, and they are related to, I want to say it's hill giants in my world. I would have to go and check on it, but I'm pretty sure it's hill giants. But some orcs are related to others as well. So, whereas these Goliaths are all related to stone giants, the orcs, there's more variety. So some might be related to, say, cloud giants. Some might be related to stone giants, but they have tusks and they're different. They're like, I guess, orcs and Goliaths would share a common ancestor, but I'm not going into that amount of detail. I'm not making the web of life for my planet because I'd like to keep some of my sanity. But in my mind, like, that is what it would be, is that there is a common ancestor for orcs, and that there are other things that are in the giant adjacent species. Furbolgs, wherever furbolgs have gone. Yeah, furbolgs, they are giants that kind of, they live more in the forests, and so they're more in tune with that part of nature than the mountains or the clouds. And then I don't think there's any others that I specifically had, unless maybe I did. So feel free to ask any questions whilst I'm looking this up. Yeah, no, that is I have correctly remembered everybody who is in that group of people.
Hooray.
Yeah, storm orcs and giants. Yeah, so like that's exactly the kind of thing that it would be, but that it's not that the orcs have. It's not like that's their lineage, like they get some sort of special power. It's that it changes their appearance and generally where they would live and be adapted for. So storm orcs would be orcs that live more in wetlands and on the coast. They would generally lean towards having blue, like blue and sort of sea green kind of skin tones, whereas there's orcs that were partially related to cloud giants would most likely have very light skin tones and probably like grays and light blues, that kind of thing, because that's what they would be related to. And they would, I assume that it's weird, right? Because if you were a cloud descendant thing and you're also a stone thing, you'd probably both be adapted to mountains, but in different ways. Yeah, I don't have answers for all of these things. Oh, no, never mind. I thought I heard someone doing the start of a question. Bum ba-dum bum bum. Other things. Other things to note, all of the Underdark species, so Drow, Dwergar, Sverfa blah 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 blim, the deep gnomes.
Nerve Niblin.
Yes, Nerve Niblim. They are, with the exception of Dwergar, who do live more integrated into Crankaran society specifically, they all live in the beneath, i.e. the Underdark. They don't really live in other societies, even as small communities. So people are not accustomed or even would know sort of who you are. I'm not saying they would react with like abject terror, but certainly you would be a foreigner to them. To most people. Educated people, no. Because they would probably have a reason to know. Wouldn't the Stone Knights be more adapted to caves and the Underdark? Yeah, you can think of it that way. That works too. But stone giants live in mountains as well, so like it's kind of like that. But Goliaths, and also I would say that there are probably a lot less orcs that are related to stone, because I specifically have the Goliaths are only related to stone giants. Also, I like the idea, but I wouldn't force people to do it aesthetically. I like the idea that Goliaths have, like, the texture of their skin is more rock-like. And, like, as they get old, instead of, like, getting wrinkles, they get cracks.
Oh, that's fun.
So, like, they're not made of stone, but kinda a little bit. It's like they're stone adjacent. Why would you stone giants? What did they? Oh, very amusing, Em. Other things. For other related species, kobolds and dragonborn, and I believe there's another kind of dragon somewhere. They are all related. Like kobolds being like how elves and gnomes are related. That is exactly the way that dragonborn and kobold are related. There you go. They are both related to dragons, but one is more human-like, and then the other one is little. Yeah, let me talk about my creature, the COVID. It's just a blob with spikes on it.
Mhm.
All of the Ganassi are the same thing as Tieflings and Aasimar, so it changes based on what species you were. Eladrin, I like to think that they are generally more. They look more like old elves because they are more closely related to old elves. If that helps anybody. Oh, centaurs. This is a fun one. Centaurs are not based on modern, insane giganto horses. Centaurs are much more like mythological centaurs in that they are human-ish height. They do not have enormous, swollen, giganticized modern horse bodies. They have normal horse bodies. And then human parts. And no, I will not, because I have been pressed on the issue prior to this, I will not be going into how their reproductive system works.
Shockingly, it wasn't me.
No, I mean,
I'm more sensible than that.
I feel like chat knows who it was that asked.
What? Who asked?
It was M.
What?
Yeah, that's it. What? Yes, it was.
I just looked over at the chat. Saw the what?
What?
Okay, well that also doesn't surprise me. Oh dear.
Whatever it was, I was definitely there making it worse.
Oh yeah, and Jade.
Oh
was
yeah, we
making it
know
worse,
we
too.
know you didn't start anything. We just know you poured the gasoline on the fire.
Oh wait, did Jade start it? I apologize if Jade did start it. I don't remember. I know
The
somebody.
question
I
I
know it was.
asked was, do they wear clothes on their bottom? Or do
That's
they
what
just
you were
do
asking.
they just let
Yes.
it all hang out?
And I said no. They aren't wild. They're people, and they don't want their bits exposed. Like people.
A lot of people don't think of centaurs wearing bit coverings and the
Do-
lower bits. So
Would you like to know the reason?
it's because horse.
Yeah, it's because most people don't see centaurs as people,
Yeah.
which is a massive problem when people would like to roleplay as a character as a person and not as a basically various gross ways that it's used.
Yes.
What else have we got here? Oh, for sea people, so anyone who come from the sea, you can use whichever ones you want. Sea elves, tritons. Oh, sorry, your question?
No. M's got one because she's turned into a small, sickly Victorian child. She's put it in the chat. So how would a centaur wear pants over all four legs, with a wide topper over the back two legs with a small top? You see, there's another type of there's another type of dress, dressing that they could wear, which is basically just a skirt to cover around the.
Yeah, they could wear a skirt.
Yes,
if
skirting, I should say.
Yeah.
It's Pokey's got the right idea there. Pants would be impossible logistically, so probably
But
just
if they did,
I mean, I can tell you exactly how they wear pants if they want to, because they would wear
oh yeah, I
pants. They
want to
wouldn't
know.
wear trousers. So,
What do you mean?
okay. So trousers in the modern sense, two legs sewn together.
Mm.
Historically, that would be known as Persian-style trousers. Because Europeans put their pants on for the same way for about 2,000 years, which is one leg at a time. They were two separate pieces of clothing that you tied together in the middle, one on each leg. And so a centaur would wear four legs that would be tied together around their midriff. It would be very, very easy. if they wanted to. But I'm not telling them how to dress. You found a picture of the meme. Oh no. I'm scared now. Let me see if I can find a good picture of them. Um. Google, could you please like just collapse and cease to exist? This is impossible. Hose. Yeah. Let me go. Can you please give me a picture of frickin' Hosen?
Hosens?
Hosen? Chatting. No, it literally is still just giving me modern clothes. Okay, this is as good as I can do for you all.
You're gonna
This is
ook on the Duka.
one example. There are many different styles. But basically it's two legs. Obviously you're wearing pants and you tie them in the middle, like basically. So it's the reason why in the early modern period codpieces was such a popular thing, because obviously the way that you tie hose together, there is normally an area in the middle that would require extra stuff. Hence
Hosen.
codpiece. Yeah, hose. Well, hose.
Hosen. No, Hosen. You're gonna ook on the Duka.
Well, hosen is German plural. They're just hose. In help.
Ook. Gonna ook on the Duka.
No, I
Gonna
refuse.
ook you in the Duka.
Yes, so a centaur could wear these. There you go, chat. I hope that you enjoyed being introduced to the concept of hose. I don't know anyone who still wears them, but they do exist.
The ook on the Duka.
And generally, that's the reason why, as well, they would put their hose on and then they would wear something else over the top of them, because it covers up all of the tying around you. Also, I think that even though they would refer to like those sorts of modern trousers more as Persian style, I think it's one of the other things that the Romans were rude at the Celts about, because the Celts also wore them. Like they wore trousers like that.
So surely if they wore trousers like that, then the centaurs would wear trousers like that.
Well, yeah, but it was just logistics so that people wouldn't be weird. I would just say that you could just wear hose and then there wouldn't be any problems. Let's just say, if centaurs were real and had existed in a culture, they probably would have found solutions to these problems.
Anyway, on to sea people.
Oh, right, yeah, I was talking about something that wasn't freaking centaur trousers before, wasn't I? So, sea people, you can use basically whichever version of it that you want. They are divided vaguely into two categories. There are fish-like ones, so more like mer people, which is generally how they're drawn here. So, like, they have fish scales and all the rest of it. But the other kind is they are more mammalian, so they look more like orca and dolphins and have those sorts of features. And seals. So it's basically so they're two massively different groups of people, but they do happen to both live in the sea.
Something bee people.
More convergent evolution now with Selkies, I guess.
Yes.
Do you have bee people?
The bee people, yes. There's not bee people. Maybe there is in the other world. I don't know. I haven't
What
thought
about
about
A people?
It's really tragic what happened to Gwen's character.
Is it?
Oh, well, I mean, it'll be tragic for about 5 minutes, and then I'll be over it. There is this. We have the snake people, the auntie. They have their own cool evolution that's separate from a lot of stuff. I know where they come from, but they're more mysterious. Also, they're very good at hiding. People don't generally go and say, "Yes, I am a snake person." Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Any others that I'm missing? Oh, lizard folk are not related to dragon people whatsoever. They are literally just lizard people. They also don't really live where our campaign is set. They live in more tropical areas. So I guess some would probably live in maybe southern Malia. Hang on. Like maybe down here there would be some lizard people in Lycon. But mostly they would be living more in Tropto and maybe in Aran. But Aran is actually no, there would be a lot of them live in Aran, but more rarely. And they don't live in the Forest of Sprites because even though this is quite far south, this is a stereotypical Fey forest. Well, woodland, not forest, but called forest. That's fine. I don't think anywhere else they would be. Generally down here. Yeah. Minotaurs are minotaurs. All the bird people, so Kenku, Aarakocra, and Owlin. That's Owlin for everyone listening, not Owlun. They all are various related species that come from Careg, which is this continent over here. Gwen?
Oh, it's just Carrick.
Yeah.
I know what Carrick is.
Well, yeah, it's a continent in my world.
Definitely not actual Welsh word or anything.
There's none of those in my world.
Nope.
And they're all from this society, the Archimandrate of Terranar, which is a theocratic monarchy, I guess, where the cities are literally hierarchical and very bird-like. And also, because they're birds, they really don't care about their children. That's an important thing about bird culture that you should all know.
Well, they care about them until they can leave, and then they don't care.
Yes. Because that. I guess there's a big difference. My bird people are birds, not like mammals. Very few birds care about their children, Poke. Very few. Like they will die protecting their egg, but as soon as the egg hatches, it's like it's not my problem anymore. Goodbye.
They still feed them.
Sometimes.
What do you mean sometimes?
Well, sometimes they don't.
Until they reach the point where they can leave the nest on their own. They'll look after them. The
But
minute
also,
they leave the nest, like, I don't care anymore. They'll left the nest. What the hell do I care?
Yeah.
Unless you're seagulls, and then seagulls are assholes.
I just like to think of all of the stupid places where birds have decided that is the smart place to put your eggs. Like the flamingos lay their eggs on little mud mounds in a salt flat, so it floods constantly. And it's like, yes, that is the smart decision to put all of your newborn chicks in a muddy swamp. That sounds very sensible. I'm sure they won't all die.
Or like the pigeons that made the nest on the ramp into a parking garage.
Yeah.
And my car found it on the way into work.
Oh.
Didn't even know for another 5 minutes till I had my parking spot.
Yikes. That's
Yep.
birds for you. Yeah, so that's a society of birds. Like smart birds, sure, but birds. What What other ones that are
Do they have
differences?
seagull people?
Well, probably. I mean, the three that are playable is Aarakocra, Owlin, and Kenku, and basically how I imagine the rules for those three work out is that Owlins are like the more elite, top of society sort of Terranar. Aarakocra are your general everyday bird people, and then Kenku are the sneaky bird people.
But do they have seagull people?
Will they be in the general bird people?
Oh, okay.
But
'Cause
they're also not by the sea, so
I feel like if there were seagull people, they would be more protective over the young.
I mean maybe.
No.
But they don't live
Hogweed,
by.
if a baby seagull falls to the ground here, the parents will swoop anything that goes near it and still feed it, or still come down and feed it. And it could be like like an adolescent one, and they'll still go and swoop you.
Well, that's not what these bird people are like. These bird people are absolute wankers. I will tell you
Okay.
straight up. And any bird people that are not here and that do live elsewhere in the world, they will either be there for a very specific purpose. So, for example, sometimes some of them are employed as things like messengers. The Archimandrivate doesn't really have diplomats. It's not very interested in diplomacy. Periodically, it starts mega wars over there that are always holy wars. So not super keen on the old diplomacy. But also, there are bird people that live outside of here because they're just kind of sick of the society. Because the rulers are garbage and nobody wants to be there. Well, lots of people want to be there, but they're in power.
Do they care about that young?
What, the ones that leave?
Yeah.
I mean, they have no like biological instinct to care, but that doesn't stop you from caring, kind of thing.
I mean, some birds do.
Yeah, but these ones don't.
Wow. Can't believe you're just lumping all birds together like that.
They're bird people. They're not real birds.
Can't believe you've done this. Hog.
Speaking of not real birds, seagulls.
That is true.
They're just gulls.
Anywho, we're not in the birdland, and nobody's going to be a bird person, so we don't really need to go into the intricacies of the horrible bird state.
What about the horrible halfling thing that?
Look, we've been over this. It's just literally early colonial America. That's all this is.
Yeah, and
But with
it's your favorite
halflings.
place.
Yeah, that's because it's awful. It's just horrible. Somebody, just as a player, please go kill them all. Hello, would you like some pie? We're here to give you food. And that's them. That's all they're gonna do. I hate them so much. But it's important to hate your creations.
Just to weird them out?
Yeah.
Because that'll work. Pokey.
It's like the quote from Spy Kids. Do you think God stays in heaven because he too fears what he creates?
True.
Thank you very much, Gwen, for quoting Spy Kids on this channel.
What? That's an amazing quote. I don't know what you're on about.
Amazing.
Do
Do you know my favorite quote from Spy Kids, Gwen?
What?
Floop, where are you? That's my favorite quote from Spy Kids. The hit movie that, like, everybody, I mean, probably even, like, 3 years younger than me has never heard of.
Technically, it was Spy Kids 2. I was thingy, but, you know, still.
Why didn't Spy Kids get an MCU-style universe? That's what I want to know.
Oh, because it went to shit really quickly after that.
I mean, it kind of did. It just went through it rather quickly, you know.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
They've
yeah.
got their whole like multiversal version of conclusions and all that through their
Oh, yeah, there's loads of Spy
extended
Kids
family.
things, but like you
Mhm.
just don't watch anything after maybe 3.
Wow.
You could
Two
say
really.
that it has done that it did do the same as MCU stuff, where they started to branch into the multiversal stuff and it all became shit.
Mm.
Fair. Yeah, I don't know. Is there any other species that people specifically want me to explain where they fit? Because I think I've gone over the most of the core ones.
You mentioned there were some that you don't want at all. Tell us about those, because that sounds interesting.
Oh, so 2 easy ones, Grungs and Locathar, because they have water dependency, and I don't think they'll be playable characters, because you have to submerge your body every, like, 8 hours or something. It's not very functional. But I don't have a problem with there being frog people or more fishy people. It's just that those specifically profile-wise. Anything from Humblewood
Well,
is...
that's fair. It's supposed to be its own sort of walled garden.
Yes. Most of these will have a place of these newer ones. But they're weird because they're all written for original 5e, so like they're just weird profiles. But in terms of concepts, anything from Book of Ebb and Tides is probably related to the other world. Like they're very Fey inspired,
Right.
so they're all
I
fine.
like the Shadow Goblins.
Yeah, the Shadow Goblins. And then only other things kind of not in the world. Vidalcan, because they're very specific to Ravnica. They're just intelligent blue people. So I guess like if you wanted to be an alien, you could be a super intelligent blue person. That's fine. It's just very world specific.
Yeah.
Simic
Now, you
hybrid,
see, Shark Dog, there's a better Minotaur picture for you.
which that one. Yeah, I like that style of Minotaur. Oddly, Simic hybrid is something that you can use in my world, but they're not called Simic hybrids. So I'll cover this in the history thing, but the bad guy that you know of, the chorister, he's
Oh, is that
in...
his deal?
So he doesn't just do necromancy, he also does necromancy plus, and he sticks people together with things and makes horrible abominations. And if somebody wanted to be one of those that had escaped because it realized what it was, then I would encourage you to be a Simic hybrid.
I'm gonna make one called Stitches.
That sort of idea, yeah. Simic hybrid is a good way of doing a
Necromancy
homunculus.
Plus. Subscription's only $14.99 a month.
Yeah. This is like a good way of doing a kind of homunculus-like creature because it's got picking different bits. So yeah. There is a water theme to them too, but that's fine because there's a reason why there was a water theme for them in my world. Elephant people exist, but they live in Tropto. Verdant, no. You can literally just delete Acquisitions Incorporated because nothing will ever be used from it. So
That's fair.
Kalashtar, if somebody wanted to be the dream humans, then we would have to talk because they come from a very specific place, but they are allowed. Warforged are obviously fine because Hernix exist. Leonin is just the same thing as Tabaxi. Yeah, I think it's literally... Oh, okay, here we go. We got some more. You can't be a GIF because they're from space. You can't be a monkey like this. You can use this profile if you wish for an Aran Sim, which is the monkey people in my world, but they're not Hadose and they have none of this lore. They're literally just so you have a monkey profile. Plasmoids are okay because they are part of the Great Ooze, and they have their whole own separate lore because they're an ooze person.
And we know how much Hog loves his oozes.
I do love oozes. That's why they have law. Like, who else comes up with a culture and religion for oozes other than me? That's right. It's the me guarantee. These are aliens as well, the bug people, so no, probably not. Like, if you want to be an alien for some reason, then I have to, like, it would be a, how did you end up in the world? And you would be the only one of it. Autognomes are just small versions of Hernix. They're the same thing as Warforges. I see no difference between them. Astral elves do exist. They're elves made in very specific circumstances. Kenda, I literally don't know what this is supposed to be outside of it's just a gnome or a halfling. And also it's Dragonlance, so it can get in the bin. Sorry if you're a fan of Dragonlance. Have no time at all for the creators of Dragonlance. And it's very generic fantasy.
Yeah, fair.
But apart from that, no, I think everything's fine other than that. If people want to be a Leonin, like cat people, I will just say to be a Tabaxi because it's just objectively better than a Leonin. It's not. What do you mean, GIF? No, this is a GIF. GIFF. Double F makes it a hard G. I'm shaking and crying. Yeah, all the aliens things. It's basically you have to ask because there has to be part of your lore is how you got to the Earth. That's it. But these aren't aliens. Yeah. And generally, everything is related some way to something else in the world. And most things. Oh, other aliens, I guess. Gith. If you wanted to be a Gith, they're also aliens. And no, I don't differentiate between the two kinds of Gith because whiny Gith and whiny Gith, I don't care that there's a difference.
For those of you following along at home, Hog is talking about the Gith Yankee and the Gith Zer. I can't pronounce the other one, but those two that he's wiggling the mouse pointer at. He's shortening it to the first syllable.
Which also sounds like GIF.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, that's it.
Just wanted to clarify for people.
Yeah,
if my dad was saying it, my dad would be saying GIF for GIF because my dad can't pronounce. He says.
Yeah. You'd just be picking which ability you wanted, basically. Yeah. So there you go. That's all the species, how they differ and where they fit into the world and how they're related to each other. There is obviously many more specifics, but I feel like that is a pretty good general summary. Any questions?
Thank you. That was very informative. Sorry?
Oh, it's just like any more questions from anyone?
What species was Kiara before she was a vampire?
That's a very good question. Of which one person can answer this.
This is where we get thrown a massive curveball. Turns out she was an Owlin even, and we never knew.
True. Do we even know that M's still here?
I feel like M is still here.
I can feel her presence, but not her voice.
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
Yeah. You can answer what Kiara was, apart from being a vampire. Because I think that you talked about actually just being a human, but I mean, we all make mistakes.
Just
okay.
don't
Now, the
go too crazy.
And the nice thing to keep in mind is you don't necessarily. A perfectly acceptable answer is no one knows.
True, and that would leave it fairly open-ended. But I feel like in some cases one would notice. if nobody noticed, then it could be just human or elf or various other of those looking things. Dwarf, rather slim dwarf, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, and like I do like the idea that that's kind of what happens in sort of the very metropolitan centers. There's elves, dwarves, and humans all living together, and people just see people. Like, sure, that like Bill down the street might be slightly taller and have kind of pointy ears, but it's just Bill, right? Like, I don't care. And then somebody at the other side of the street will be a little bit shorter than the average person and more muscly, and like it's a dwarf. It's like that's how I envision it. It's only when people are more separated by culture that people would probably notice more physical differences. And pointy ears are common to almost everyone. The non-pointy eared thing is pretty much just humans. To varying degrees of pointiness.
May as well just give them pointy ears as well.
I mean, some humans have pointy ears, so like, and not just like through surgery. Like, there are people who have pointy ears. But yeah, but humans are also like the most common thing. So just because they're humans, they're very good at making more of themselves. Yeah. So, if you think of any other questions, you're welcome to do an asker. But I'm gonna go into the histoire, which might prompt other questions. So, last time I did cover the. Wait, can I hear myself? Keep thinking I hear an echo, but then I don't know.
I'm getting a very slight echo of you.
Yeah, that was weird. Okay. We did the Haliashnar's Blight. We did the Resurrection of the Golden Citadel. So that's basically all the stuff following on to the what happened at Oikos Pika. That is the dragons got woken up. The new leaders of Sovereign's Rise got installed, and the Golden Empire was founded, with the dragons taking over all of the settlements in this valley, which is the Vale of Huluk, for those who care. Just in there. Other things, big things did occur, because somebody started a holy war. Yeah. So evil laugh. This basically happens the year after the campaign ended, mostly because it took time for people to marshal their armies and get to places. Because you can't teleport armies, you have to walk or boat. But effectively what happens is the Knights of the Vale started marshalling their forces when they heard that the Archdevil Marius had been sighted atop Mount Gela. At the same time, they put out a call to basically everybody, like, because the Knights of the Vale aren't religion or culture specific, they asked everybody to chip in if they can. Primarily, that meant that Harrian, like places that are Harrian, so all down here, and Halias, had the most volunteers. Some Owlans did, but Owlans, as a general rule, are nowhere near as concerned about Marius, because Marius is very different in their culture. Sure, he's an archdevil, but not that bad, as generally considered. So they start gathering all their forces at the same time as this. Those priests of Jilla, who was the god associated with Marius in Halias culture, they went to ask all of their followers to start recruiting. And the followers of Jilla, primarily being in Halias lands, were a lot closer. And very quickly, within a couple months, they were able to start sending basically all of their cultists, their followers, and any recruits they could get. They sent them over to Mount Jella. They climbed the mountain, which for context has been described before, but I'll repeat it. It is an enormous floating volcano. It's approximately a mile in the air. There is waterfalls cascading on it. All of these little islands are like the volcanic remnants of past eruptions, and they scatter around the bottom of it, and the volcano sort of very slowly turns in place over this spot. And it is vast. It's like, I think it's like 200 kilometers across or something, or like 150. It's crazy. It's like oh no, it's only 100 miles. There you go. I lied. But it's very, very big. And these cultists of Jilla, they climbed up the mountain and they started looking for Marius. They did not find Marius. They did also not find Adeste. And what they did find was the ruins of a city kind of at the foot of where this volcano was. And they began to fortify it. And they had easily 6 months to do this before anybody else showed up. Let's skip past 6 months later.
It's a heck of a lead.
Yes, well, they're way closer, right? They only have to go from here, like Adrisia and Hayashnar to here, versus the Veilstadt, which is the primary rallying point for the Knights of the Vale. So they have to sail or march all the way through Jellinger and over here. And also they're marshalling much bigger numbers of people. So when the crusade, which is what we'll call it, actually gets going, the huge amounts of volunteers and soldiers sort of drain out of Harrian lands, as people are very eager to volunteer for what almost everybody sees as a righteous cause, to kill an archdevil. Because, yeah, it's an archdevil. Killing is probably a good thing. It kind of does a weird thing as well, of because everybody gets on board with this, the tension between Lomba and Adrisia really dies down. Like, people are kind of like, yes, no, we're all going to do this now. We don't need to worry about sort of the political crisis that was going on. This will come up in a bit. And yeah, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people volunteer to go and fight in this war. They get to Mount Jella, and the cultists of Jilla don't want them there, and they just start raining death down upon the massive flotilla of ships parked at the bottom of Mount Jella. And eventually they are able to get up there through magical means, through constructing like these very elaborate rope systems and pulleys to get people up there to do this fight. But basically, it's just like 10 years of pointless slaughter, because they're not getting anything out of it, because the mountain is a volcano that floats in the air, and there's a ruined city there. And spoiler alert, if the cultists of Jilla had looked around the ruins that much and they had found anything, they didn't tell anybody. So you just had a mega war up there. Tens of thousands lay dead across the thing. It was said that the waterfalls that run from Mount Jella, the sea around it, was stained red by the end of it. And by the end of the war, the Jillan cultists were eventually finally driven from the mountain at the cost of hundreds of thousands of lives. But it was definitely a case of after about 4 years of pointless slaughter, the sunk cost fallacy set in, and they just sort of carried on going. Because you know how people be. And the best part about it, of all, is even till the very last day of the war, nobody on either side could reliably say they saw the Archfiend or the Archangel. So the thing they were there for, nobody ever saw. And the last thing that happens is the Grand Master, with like the few surviving Knights of the Vale who were in that war, they scramble up the mountain to the very summit, where they found after the last servant of Jilla was killed was a slight shimmer in the air, which is the Knights of the Vale, like that's what they told everybody. But basically, there's a story in Owlin myth. The god Jella, the child Jella, was supposed to have been trapped in a mirror. And the Knights of the Vale were established in response to these mirrors being broken, and all of the mirrors where they are in the world, all that's left of them is this distortion in the air that you could try to do something with if you wanted to, but they didn't. So there was a mirror at the top of this mountain, and whatever was in it, they could not tell. And then the knights, like, there's nothing there for them to keep. The knights leave the mountain. It is just a mountain covered in one of the most pointless wars I can possibly describe. Because I guess a religious person probably would have worked out pretty quickly that the Archfiend and the Archangel, even if they were there, they wouldn't have shown themselves to that. Because that's not how they work. But, you know, commitment to the bit. And then they all died. There are a lot of consequences of this, not least the depopulation of Jelangea. The first thing that happens is
the most important thing that happened is there's less cults of Jilla. So
yes, it broke the cult of Jilla, like as in there was almost nobody left who still actively worshipped Jilla.
So I did a really good thing by doing that.
I mean, sure. You definitely did something. So one of the big consequences is, as the knights sort of kept asking for more and more aid from the nobility and from kingdoms around the place, and also like these nobles and merchants could see so many of their like supply of mercenaries and soldiers just being eaten up by this pointless war, cities gradually, one by one, started expelling the Knights of the Vale from their cities, with the Kingdom of Strelok, as it was at the time, going so far as to say that the Grand Master of the Knights of the Vale was in league with Marius. And effectively, by about 20 years after the end of the last campaign, so about 20 years ago, they were not present anywhere outside of the Velstadt, and they were so depleted in number that the Velstadt eventually became a protectorate of the recently founded Kingdom of Derwen, because nobody else would look after them, and they had no money and no recruits, and kind of the whole consequence of that is if anyone wants to do anything with the Knights of the Vale in the new campaign, the Knights of the Vale is very much rebuilding. They recently got a new Grand Master and stuff like that, so that is the cool thing that happened to the Knights of the Vale. And then by cool, I mean they were almost destroyed.
But they weren't destroyed.
No, not quite.
They've been heavily restructured.
Yes, and they don't have any keeps elsewhere in the world now. They only have Cranogmar, Nightport, and that's it. And literally, Cranogmar is their fortress, and the Nightport is a pretty small port. It's not like a major thing. It's just so that they have food and stuff like that. There is also like a satellite Veilstadt in Malayar, but that's not going to come up in this campaign at all. So, but there is one over there. And,
Also, what you're saying is that Jela's pretty happy.
oh yeah, they got wrecked. Yeah, so she's very happy. Okay, yeah. So another thing as a consequence of this religious war. This war, by the way, is called the War of the Devil. If you're curious, the Harrians and Halias parts of the world were much more immediately affected because, like I said, the Owlans were not as invested in getting rid of an archdevil as they are, because they have different opinions. The Halias religion was obviously most directly affected by this because it was started by cultists of Jilla, which meant that a lot of people were turned away from the religion because they were like, why do we have this in our religion if this is what it does? So people were turning away from it. Then there is the takeover by the dragons of Haliashna, which is the other major center of this religion. And at the same time as Haliashna is taken over, remember how I said that Lomba and Adrisia chilled out a little bit in the war? Well, partway through the war, Lomba is like, wow, Adrisia really has no soldiers, and also Haliashna just got invaded by dragons, and also everybody's really busy with doing this war and probably won't notice. And so the Margrave of Lomba invades Adrisia, sacks Adrisia, burns it to the ground, and takes over the Aldel area where Adrisia is, to the extent where people were so shocked by this in Strelok that the Church of the Ancestors, which is the organizational body for their religion, excommunicates the Margrave, and within 2 years, somebody has hired somebody to assassinate him, and he is killed. Because what he did to Adrisia was so shocking to everybody that everybody was like, this guy, we're done with him. And basically the destruction of Adrisia led to the Archbishop fleeing to Haliashna. When she got there, it was basically you can come in, but your religion isn't correct. And then she does the whole, I'm going to restructure the religion so that it's actually the dragons, not the gods, as a rebrand. And it's reasonably effective. It's not even Halias religion anymore. I have to come up with like a lot of the details of how it will function, but if somebody wants to believe in that religion, I will give them more details at the time. So Adrisia, when the Duke of Lomba dies, the Margrave of Lomba, his son takes over, and his son basically, in order to get himself back in everyone's good books, becomes very religious. And he's like, in order to undo the damage that dearest Papa did, I'm going to turn Adrisia, or Odrisberg, into the most holy place in Harrian lands. And what the upside of this is, they rebuild Odrisberg. It becomes like a major religious focus for Harrian religion, but it becomes a focus for reforming Harrian religion. And the worship of Halias, like the old religion there, is banned. You can only worship the ancestors, and Owlan gods are also banned. So in him going very pious, he does do like the whole, I'm going to be very uninclusive in my beliefs, and it becomes all the other religions are banned, but this one gets lots more money. So yeah. But the reforming part of that, and this happens elsewhere at the same time, because the war kind of brought this conversation back to the fore. There is a group in Harrian culture that believes that you shouldn't worship every ancestor because all of the ancestors are kind of bad imitations of the 5 best ones, in their opinion, which is called the Pentarchy. And when Odrisberg is rebuilt like this, it sort of starts it starts a reformation in the Kingdom of Srelok, which the already weakened power of the king from this war, now, like, the nobles are starting to pick which version of their religion that they go with, and you can probably work out where this is going. All of the Kingdom of Srelok starts to fracture, and generally speaking, it's because the king is anti the reforming, and most of the other major cities kind of they are led by people who believe in the reformed the Pentarchy. And if you're curious, the ancestors that are in the Pentarchy, they are called Artos, Carlos, Brigdia, Maria, and Hilary. And they all represent a different thing. But it's, if you want to be from that religion, then I will give you that information at the time. So the Kingdom of Srelok starts to fall apart. Okay, so M is literally... I will explain that in a second once I've done the history part. The first thing to separate is is cast as the League of Erenken. The major merchant cities of Erenken, Neustadt and Thalheim, they sign an agreement which basically says that they no longer recognize the authority of the King of Srelok, and they become a form of republic. There are still nobles in it and stuff like that, which immediately starts a civil war. Srelok having been more depleted than other things, is not in a favorable position at the start of this. As things start to look bad, the Margrave, who, like, his dad was bad and he did the whole let's rebuild Odrisberg because I'm going to be a cool person, but also he's still like his dad in other ways. He's like, well, looks like everything's going to shit, I better take advantage of this, and declares independence. Between these two warring armies, and primarily Erenken and Srelok, they fight their war navally, especially once Lomba declares independence, because then people can't send their armies between them. But partway through this massive civil war, the Margrave and Erenken form an alliance to finally destroy the Kingdom of Srelok. And they march on Srelok. But it gets worse, because at the same time as this is happening, so this is like 10 years. So the Holy War lasts 10 years. This is like almost immediately after the Holy War. So this is like within 5 years of the end of the Holy War that all this goes down. Is Gwen echoing? I don't know. Is Gwen echoing?
I don't know how I'm echoing.
Yeah, I don't know. I keep thinking I hear an echo, but I don't know where it is. Anyway. Right. Yes. So, Lomba and Erenken, they have allied to take out Srelok, because hurrah, hurrah. The king of Srelok dies, which is what precipitates them going on the offensive. And his daughter, who is sort of like not very old and very inexperienced, because he wasn't supposed to die. He died of an illness. And all of the chaos causes another thing to happen, which is... This is so messy. This is so messy, but I love it. The Cantrevi, which was up here, Owlans, they're pretty chill, but over here, what is now the Kingdom of Derwen, there are Owlans who are very much of the opinion that they should drive the Harrians from Jellinjaya. That is their basic opinion, And periodically, it's a case of they just want to do this every now and again. And one of the nobles decides, let's have another shot at this, declares themselves king of Derwen, and the nobles decide to invade Strelok because all of this situation is happening. So they send an army down to invade this, whilst Lomba and Erinken are also on their way to Strelok to take out the king. Which leads to a bunch of different things. So, the Battle of Strelok Hills is the sort of the thing that forces the Druidic Council in Llyn-Driod, which is the other half of the Cantrevi, to form its own government, separate from the Kingdom of Derwen. They don't join in, really. They invade, they have this big war in here. They come to a peace settlement eventually, but that's only after Strelok is besieged by... Okay, I got the right order this. It's besieged by Lomba and Erinken, and then Derwen shows up, and the siege just goes to absolute dumpster fire. Lomba and Erinken are able to drive Derwen off back to their original borders. Well, not their original borders, they changed borders because they've grown a new hedge here as a consequence of their raids. But Lomba and Erinken are able to breach the gates. But during the battle, when it looks like the queen is going to be captured, a very odd event occurs, and it's called the Queen's Miracle. And a glowing rider descends from the heavens, grabs her, and flies her to safety. And nobody knows who this is, but that is what happens. And she is taken to her remaining kingdom because, as came up in the other campaign, she was engaged to the heir of Marlian. They were married, and she went to the other half of her kingdom, basically, which is down here. Which is why this is now the kingdom of Marlian and Strelok. I know this is very complicated. But my favorite part of this is, as soon as she gets yeeted, the Lord Mayor of Strelok immediately calls a ceasefire with Erinken and the Margrave of Lomba, and says that we no longer recognize the monarchy and we are a republic too. And the other two kind of like, oh, hang on, that's what our war goal was. Damn it. Now we can't take you out. And also due to the fact that Derwen is still like hovering around in the bushes, they're kind of like, okay, this sort of works out because we can not get crushed in a almighty three-way F-up. And so a settlement of sorts is arrived on the condition that Strelok denounces the monarchy and becomes a republic. So yeah, Strelok is completely broken up into, this is a well, it's not a monarchy, it's a Margravate, so it's a noble thing, but it's not got a king. The Freistaat Strelok, that is a kingdom. A republic. The Liga Erinken is a republic. One of the Freistaat Strelok is more controlled by noble landowners. Erinken is more controlled by merchants. So that's kind of a distinction there. Derwen is a monarchy and still would love to carry on invading Strelok as much as can. Llyn-Driod, what happened with them is when Derwen went to war with Strelok, they secured their southern border in the New Forest, and they set about starting to grow henges. They basically pushed the border down to the edge of the forest and established new forts to keep themselves separate from the thing. But they didn't really participate in an invasion the same way. They've absolutely fought against Strelok. It's not been peaceful, but their intention isn't to take land. Derwen's is. So this is a very tense, like, no man's land in here. So you can see this wiggly hedge that goes between all these places. all of this area in here is effectively no man's land between the Owlans and the Harrians, but they are technically at peace, is important. And also that the same goes for Srelok, Erinken, and Lomba. They are also all technically at peace. Okay. There is more, but are we all following? Do you have any questions at this point in the history lesson?
No.
Okay.
I feel like from a regular person's perspective, in the time period where things are going to be set, there'll likely be a lot of people reminiscing probably isn't the right word, but, keeping in mind the recent troubles.
Yeah.
Which all this will be boiled down to because, people love not remembering bad things.
Mm-hmm.
And lumping them all together if there's a lot of them.
Yeah. Like, this is, everything started to sort of just come to a simmer, so it sort of went off the boil. Probably 15, 20 years ago. So because most people tend to set their D&D characters between like 20 and 30, wouldn't really have any memory of this, but parents and grandparents would remember when times were a lot worse than they are. But there is still sort of this uneasy tension in the world currently.
Right.
Okay, where do the horse archers fit in? What do you mean, Poke? There are people who have bows on horses. There's no fantasy. There's no horde about to arrive.
There's also no horses.
That's true. There is no horses because they don't have horses in this continent. They come from across the sea, over here. Only deer, so there'd be deer archers, and the antlers would get in the way. I don't know. Oh, okay. Deer drop antlers. Mongols riding deer. Sure am. Okay, so another like little sideshow to this. In Marlian, the thing that was hinted at with Felicity's backstory, this figure who was trying to restore the kingdom's fortunes, like they kicked off a civil war between the Duchy of Ashtan and the king. The war was going very badly for the king until the Duke laid siege to the king trapped at this city here, Marshloss, which was originally called Marsh in Marlian or Marlish. But the noble in here, who is, I believe, the Count of Wenboss. This information is all available in the Discord, but I'm going to make sure that I check so that I say things correctly. Yes, the House of Wenboss. So, the Count of Wenboss, upon receiving a request for aid from the then king, the then king of Marlian isn't the current one, sent his entire army to relieve Marshloss, and in the process inflicted a crushing defeat on Ashtan, and saving the kingdom of Marlian, basically. In gratitude, the king gave Marsh to the Count of Wenboss, and then they kind of won the war, and they have won the war to this point. There is a fort now marking the border between the Duchy of Ashtan and the Kingdom of Marlian, at Brochefort. Sorry, Brioche Fort, if you want to do it properly, because that's what it is. But I was saying Brochefort so people wouldn't notice. They have good bread there, just so everyone knows.
Damn it, I just polished off a loaf of Chocolate chip brioche.
Yeah.
With Biscoff spread.
Ooh.
Hello.
Oh, hi.
Hello, Jade.
I just need to ask. Wait, what the fuck?
Sean Bean.
Sean Bean.
That's the reasoning? Okay.
Yeah. He made
No,
it.
that's whose fault it is.
Okay.
I'm not re-saying everything from the top, M. I'm going to continue from where we are. Okay, so some other events. There's one last big one, and then there is there's a couple of little ones. I'll do the little ones first because they're easy. When Lomba was in this situation with the whole taking over Rogersburg, they did at some point try to send an army because they were like, well, Hali Ashnar's not doing so good, and the dragons are dragons, right? They're fine. However, when they sent their army the last time, they have not attempted since. It's called the Massacre at Wisdom's Watch, because they send their army through this pass here, and Crankaran, pissed off that somebody's marching an army through their land, sends in quite a lot of their airships and just bombards the ever-living hell out of Lomba's forces, and Lomba's like, okay, we won't try it again, sorry. And it was a massive massacre. Other little things, in recent years, there are things that are being called, sailors are reporting things called the Beacons of Death, which sounds fun, I know. There are these very thin but bright lights rising into the sky, which are being called the Beacons of Death. They are reported, one is reported from the very edge of Zelenjaya over here, and sailors going past there see this just enormous light of beam going into the air. And then there's also been reported down in the south by the Fingers of Jella. So merchants and woods people keep saying that they see these. Whether or not they're on permanently, people don't know, but it's a thing going around that suggests there is many an ill omen in the air. It is concerning for some people. Then oh, right. So this is another little bit. Cycleopolis, which is the biggest city in Zelenjaya, it's an enormous floating city home to 1 billion people. And it just is floating there, sitting in the air. They have basically parked their city here because Parians from Strelok and Arikan have started to colonize the old abandoned cities of the Circle of Pearls, which is what Cycleopolis is the capital of. And they are a little bit perturbed by it. Some captains from Cycleopolis have been attacking Harian shipping as punishment because they're mad about it, but the Sultan of Cycleopolis has instructed everybody not to because he made a promise to his goddaughter, the now Queen of Malian and Strelok, that he would leave her people alone, because he's like, well, we abandoned those cities, so it's fine, but there are lots of people in Cycleopolis who are like, well, there's these massive cities that are just like sitting there on islands, we're just going to go and take them. So there's now a tension between these people and the elemental experts that are the Circle of Pearls in Cycleopolis in their giant floating city. And then the last little one, oh yeah, because I came up with a good name for it. Hither cometh thither is what this is called, which is winters are still getting worse. It was introduced like in the other campaign. There is now like snow on almost all high areas all through the summer. Crops are getting harder to farm in the north, like there is less food. and winters are much longer and much colder and worse, like windier and stuff like that. To the point where this is now no longer, oh, this is like some bad winters. This is, no, kind of everybody can tell that winters are getting a lot worse. And when people have asked druids about it, they are sort of cagey on telling people why, but they still will help people. Like, they'll help you grow your crops so that you can have food in the winter and stuff like that. But they don't seem to be very willing to tell people if they know why winters are getting worse. So that's another little fun thing that's going on. But the last big one, before we can go back to more questions, is to do with the dragons and the opposite of dragons, giants. So when the dragons woke up, obviously it was a shock to everybody in the world. But it was even more of a shock to the people of the Cantrevi, because within a year of the dragons waking up, they got a visit from a very big person. The Druseth was having a meeting in the center of Alcimrith in their usual format, when I guess a council of giants arrived, and everybody was obviously surprised because the giants walked out over the lake towards them, and they have a conversation which nobody knows what it was about between the Druidic Council and this Council of Giants on the Queen's Isle, which is this very holy place to the Owlans. But when they returned to Lolsimrith, the giants, like some of the giants, came with them, and for the first time since the end of the world before the death of Issaria, giants were now roaming the world, and the giants were helping Lolsimrith build things. So Lolsimrith has giants that now reside within it, and it was announced a few days later that Llynduod and the Gigantaki of Aulion are in a working relationship. Aulion also has very close ties with Crancaran as well. And the giants basically said, now that the dragons are back, we are here to defend the people who care about this world, which is the reason why they allied with the druids. And the most close to current events, bar one thing that I'll say after this, is an event. This is part of something which just goes on forever. And now that the giants and the dragons have woken up, more people are learning about this, and they're taking myths more seriously. There's a thing called the Bellum Antiquus, which is literally the ancient war. And it is the dragons and the giants have been at war since the universe began. They are diametrically opposed to each other, and they will never seek peace. But because Lolsimrith had allied with the giants, one of the dragons, this is one of the principal dragons, one of Schmoktagel's children, the great drake Thakmal Shash, and other good dragon names are available, soared over the world, over the entire Crancran Empire. The dwarves could do nothing to stop it. The knights, the Thorn Guard of the Llynduod, which are basically mounted knights, they tried to stop them. They could do nothing. And this dragon made it all the way to the the Queen's Pond, so all the way to this lake from over here. and was very much looking like he was going to torch the place when he reached the Queen's Isle. An enormous thorn is the only way to describe it, was thrown from the island itself, and just went straight through a dragon. This is after everybody had seen thousands of people shooting it. The giants that are in Lol Simrith were throwing rocks and casting spells and doing nothing to this dragon, and just a giant piece of wood is thrown from this island. This island is completely covered by forests, for context. Goes straight through this dragon, and Thak Malshash is thrown into the lake, kind of because this hurt a lot. And the people of Lol Simrith go to the shore to see what is happening, and a figure. They are the queen, the Archfey. So imagine ultimate queen vibes Archfey. She walks out onto the lake. Every step she takes on the lake, a lily pad grows underneath her feet as she just very casually walks over to the wounded dragon in the lake and draws a much smaller thorn, and just basically from nape of the dragon to the bottom of the dragon just cuts the entire dragon in one stroke open. And just one shot a dragon. And basically, everybody in Lol Simrith was in shock. The rest of the world was also in shock, because nobody had killed a dragon up until this point. Nobody even knew that you could kill dragons up until this point. This was not just a baby dragon. This was the child of Schmochtagels. This generation 2 dragons. It was enormous. And the only thing that the queen did, when she looked to see everybody just cheering and in disbelief of what had happened, she turned to them all and said, "It's good to be the queen," and then walked back to the island. And nobody has seen her since.
Like a mouse.
Power move right there. Holy shit. You enjoyed writing that.
I did. And when she did that, the giants who were in the city, who were trying to help the people in Lol Simrith defend, they immediately all kneeled as one towards the Queen's Isle, and the giants basically proclaimed loyalty to the Queen. And yeah. The only other more recent thing than that was 5 years ago, so that's very big news for a lot of people still, is this is basically a month before the campaign will start. So it is the most recent news, but a month gives it enough time that most people probably have heard of it. Mount Gela erupts. And it hasn't erupted in 3,000 years at least.
Oh.
And that is the herald of when this campaign will start. So yeah. There's lots of cool things that happened. And I know we covered all the Haliashna stuff before, so it seems like this is all disconnected, but lots of stuff that the party did affected it. Like the Adrisia stuff, that is all to do with things that you made decisions about a while ago now, but yeah.
I like the part where I got rid of the cult of Jilla.
Oh yeah, and if it's not very clear, Halias religion, like the religion that was in Adrisia and Haliashna, is almost just completely gone. Because I talked about the Alien Republic, the Alien Republic does not worship Halias religion; it worships Owlin religion. And it's banned in Adrisia, and the religion that exists in the Golden Empire is also not that religion anymore. So there's no countries that follow that religion. Doesn't mean there aren't still people who do. Any questions?
When's recess?
What?
It just got here.
after the test.
No.
I've got a logistical question.
Mm-hmm.
So after the queen was done uh, clefting a dragon in twain, who cleaned that up? Did
Nobody.
anyone clean that up? And if so, and if not, what effect has that had on the local area?
So it was supposed to have taken like
apart from some very happy fish.
True. Yes, it was supposed to, so basically all the blood from the dragon drains into the water, and like that didn't apparently fade for a year afterwards. Because of how the Queen's Pond is, basically what happens is that it was there for probably 3 months. Like the dead dragon just like stuck partway in the water. It's also weird because the Queen's Pond is very, very, very deep. Like suspiciously deep. But the dragon was sort of floating on it, which it wouldn't normally have done. But that's fine, because everyone's used to things being weird with the Queen's Pond because Fae stuff. It would have been just like a night. The fog that sort of sits over the lake one day would have been a little bit denser, and then the next morning the remains of the dragon would have gone. Nobody, because the druids would have decreed this, nobody would have been allowed to go over to the body to take things from it. Because basically there's sort of very taboo custom, like culture around if the queen, or in Derwen the king, is like ever does something, you are forbidden from interfering, because basically if you do interfere, you're probably going to get ripped to pieces by pixies. So it's a health and safety situation, and presumably
Gotcha.
one of the druids in fluorescent robes comes up and like says, "No, you can't do that."
Fluorescent robes. Oh, I'm loving the aesthetic that I'm
The,
seeing in my brain.
the health and safety druid.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes. That's lovely.
No, yeah, Poke. So Owlus, that god, that god still exists. Xander told nobody whatsoever, so nobody in the party and nobody outside has any idea that god exists, unless they have another reason to. And because that was the other thing, the magical stones that Xander got, those are the things that were taken, put in the vault, and the only time the Bank of Haliashnar has been broken into is when somebody unknown stole that box from the vaults.
And only the box.
Well, because technically people don't know what's in the box.
Oh, okay.
But people are very interested in the box because it was stolen from the Bank of Haliashnar, if that makes sense. Do they work for Druidic OSHA? No, just it's the health and safety druid. He shows up all the time.
Was the bank set on fire while it was being robbed?
Nope. Nobody knows how they broke in. Nobody knows how they got out. Nobody knows like how they knew where to get the thing that they got.
They can't have been that good a thief, though, because everyone knows the best way to steal something is to set the room below it on fire first.
True.
Yes. It's to have
And
many
then not
witnesses.
steal it.
Yeah, and set fire to it. Also, I know one floating question because M asked. M, you asked about the reformed Harian religion, right? Or am I misremembering that you asked that? Just open my thing on it. Bum 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 bum. I'm not actually. Surely I did. No, I guess I didn't. Okay, so let me go and see if I can find this other document. Talk amongst yourselves whilst I try and find the right piece of paper. I have too many notes.
I suppose that's the hazard of building such a comprehensive world. I was gonna say big, and that's not untrue, but this sucker's got layers.
There's one or two things going on.
Just a few.
Okay, so I'll post it in the thing so it's in the chat anyway. But so in order that I told you them, Artus represents loyalty, Carlos represents skill, Brigdia represents craftsmanship, Maria represents love, and Hillary represents kenning or knowing in a not taught sense, like knowledge that you have acquired. And Artus and Carlos are presented as masculine, Brigdia and Maria are presented as feminine, and Hillary is non-binary. And is just depicted as the biggest nerd, if you're curious. They got glasses, they got just like robes and books, and also like they have bags of herbs. I know there's a character that is in my head that's from, I think it's a Studio Ghibli movie, but I cannot remember their name or which film they're in to say what the image in my head of Hillary is. So yeah. Technically,
What's this now?
oh, these are the reformed Harrian ancestors. This is the Pentarchy.
What were you saying about Hillary?
Oh, Hillary is like depicted as the ultimate nerd. Like they have robes, they carry around like all of their like their books listing all the herbs and things like that. Because they're not they represent all knowing, but normally it leans towards the knowing that you acquire throughout your life rather than just book learning. But like these are books that are like lists of herbs and stuff like that, and pictures of identifying animals and things like that. Yeah, there's apples. I can confirm there are canonically apples. Now, if they're in this continent, yes, they would be in this continent, because we decided that Theron is our North American biome foods. So we don't have Jellinger doesn't have tomatoes and potatoes, or pumpkin or any of that stuff.
Not yet.
No, they can't. The sea will blow it up.
Wow.
It's impossible to cross the midpoint of the world with potatoes.
Wow.
I'm banning potatoes. But in contrast,
I'm fine with that, but
the Waterton and Highbridge and Vinetop. So like, because the Wad Sea is like supposed to be the area that's kind of, in my mind, is more Dutch, and Thalheim is kind of Dutch too. They have fried turnips instead of like chips and stuff.
probably nicer.
It is genuinely probably a lot nicer. So no potatoes, but fried turnips. Yeah. Pipo, Netherlands, exactly. And that's where that is, the Wadsea. But like all of this area, apart from vague things like this, I'm not gonna tell people that a certain accent is in a certain area. It's just like in my mind how it's themed. Well, imagine like instead of a potato, all the potato-based foods you just made with turnip, which by the way you can do. It's probably Swedes as well. It's probably not like the gross kind of turnip. It's good turnips. They probably have like little fried carrots too, actually. But yeah, but that's in that area of the world. Yeah, a lot of things happened in the 42 years since the last campaign. If it wasn't obvious, they can be both poke. Fried turnips look like fries. Yes, M, because you can replace turnip or replace potato with turnip in almost every way. Why would they be red? I'm not Googling turnip. I don't want that in my search. Like, just recommending me turnip stuff.
Wow.
Oh, well, I'm not that interested in turnips as like a search history item.
Oh, not gonna lie, I just looked up a recipe for crispy turnip fries and just like, oh, that sounds really good. And
Yeah.
it looks really good. Damn it.
Fried root vegetable strap. Yes. Yeah. Any tuber will suffice. Oh, that's what M was thinking of? Radish? Yeah, no. I mean, maybe there's some weirdo that fries radish. Oh, that'd be so horrible.
Radish is nice pickled.
It's nice an accompaniment to things, but I'm just imagining somebody with a plate of fried radishes.
Actually, it could be alright with daikon, but you'd really have to get a lot of the moisture out.
Ugh, that's not my thing. Get a hot dog with turnip fries. You can get a sausage with turnip fries.
It's
we
just a
don't.
sausage in a bun.
Yes, it's just a sausage in a bun. Well, because like, there's no way that the level of technology that we have has the ability to create so many chemical preservatives to make a hot dog. It has to have too much actual food in it.
I think that's fine.
Yeah, but if somebody wants to have a character dedicated to inventing chemical preservatives to be able to create a New York style hot dog, which is about 20% food, I think.
I was gonna say, like, I mean, like, if you have a hot dog from the UK, it's gonna have more food in it.
Yeah, and a hot dog from Europe has even more food in it.
Yeah.
Random Strelockian city, Frankfurt. Frankfurter. Oh my god. Yeah, but it'd be wherever you made it, and then it would be a Thalheimer. Highbridge dogs. One long fast meat in bread with a side of YouTubers. Oh my god.
I love it. And Bard. That's amazing.
So what are burgers called in?
I mean, the port that is supposed to be like Hamburg is Erinken.
So
Inners.
Friends.
Yeah. Erinkeners, I guess.
Cool.
Yeah, the shorten's nice to Kenners.
Yeah, that works. Create the hot
Plus,
dog.
they don't exist anymore, so they can't sue you.
Oh, that's a company.
It was a toy company. Unfortunately, it did get bought by Hasbro, so. Yeah.
Why do you want to create the hot dog industry, Em?
So she can cut it up and
Because
put it into
America?
fucking ramen.
Wow. The Germany type place is kind of all over. So basically, my rough division is this area up here in Strelok. This is kind of supposed to be Germany English, but it's like more English. You got like Ryewick and Newmont and Crossford and things like that. So this is supposed to be more English themed. Getting into the Margrave is still kind of English. This in here is supposed to be more Dutch in the wet part, obviously, because of course I would put the Dutch in the soggy bit. So Lombard as well, kind of in that same influence. And then down here in Erringen, Neustadt, Aalbeck, but there's like Holly Hill, Asniborg, Torvald. This is supposed to be the more stereotypical German, is down here. Does this area have ramen? No, I'm pretty sure ramen has to come from, well, hang on, I've got to go to this map. Because ramen, I feel, because like so many countries have ramen now, I don't know which one is actually where it's from originally, because it is just dehydrated noodles.
Well, I mean the instant stuff. Is that what
Yeah.
you're looking for, or are you looking for?
I
know,
assume.
Are you talking about like where the concept of ramen came from?
Well, I mean, dehydrated food. I don't know if that's.
I mean,
place
ramen
specific.
isn't necessarily dehydrated, but
Yeah, it's
okay.
typically served fresh.
yeah.
Instant ramen is a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it will either be. It will be in Tianxi, and it will either be on this side. Which, by the way, just my map of Tianxi is very, very old. If anyone goes to Tianxi, I have to draw a new map because I have to put a lot more detail on it, including a lot more islands over here to make this point clear. This is Japan on this side. This in here is Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
Korea's down here.
I was going to say Sandbard.
This is all of Central Asia. So this is for your stereotypical desperate need to have Mongolian horse archers poke an M. This is where they are. This is Tibet. Also, this is my favorite bit because the reason why the mountains are so like perfectly edged to the world is when the continent got like thrown across the world southwards, all the mountains, like half of the continent, fell off. So the mountain range is literally just the edge of the world, and it just like drops sheer cliff because the weight of the land was too much. It just tumbled.
The land is floating.
Yeah, well, like it hangs over the edge because there's sufficient.
No,
strength.
I mean like the reason it slid off is because it's floating on top of something.
Oh yeah, it's floating on the. Oh yeah, that's the internal. That's the warm, gooey center of the world. And then this is like various different regions of China. But this is like China proper. And then the capital is here, which is the second and not actually largest floating city because it is a floating city, but it's also like the Forbidden City, so only the imperial family is allowed there. But it is pointlessly big.
Hooray!
Because like Chinese inspired emperors definitely didn't do things by halves.
So what, do the actual people live in those 3 places around it or something?
Oh no,
or
these
like, do they live in like is it, if that's like the Forbidden City, where are the people who live around to feed them?
Well, you see, they have a solution for that. It's all just
Mm.
magical servants. So nobody lives here. So you see, Huobao, Tubao, Mubao, and Jinbao.
Mm.
Between these four, nobody lives except the imperial family in Tianjin. To the point where these are like literal military forts, like most of their army is stationed here. If anyone tries to go through here without permission, they get killed.
Wow.
Except this one, which is their private monastery that has specially approved of monks.
Mm.
They are so vulnerable. I mean, they would be vulnerable, Sandbard, if they weren't a family of dragons. If they weren't, then yes, I would agree with you. But yeah, their
Did
population
they
is
get
like
deliveries of food and stuff in?
Sort of. I mean, like, they're dragons. They can just go for takeout. Like, they
I
can just
was
go.
about to say they probably go out a lot.
So where is the actual place where the people live then?
Oh, that's all in here. Like, the billions of people that live all the way through here. Not billions, but yeah.
Yeah,
It's
no,
fair.
but like
Loads.
where's the largest city, basically?
Oh, the largest cities. Hang on. I gotta remember where I put them now. Huihei, that one's one of the big ones. They have different pictures because this is when I still cared and did different pictures. Ruchang, Weijing, Ganghei, and then there's a couple more up here. Like, basically, this is all crazy insane farmland. This is crazy insane farmland. This is marshland, so the population's much less here. And then all in here is insane farmland. So that's basically where the populations are. The cool dragon knights, they all live up here, though. Like Cathay and Warhammer. Any similarity between any of my worlds and Warhammer or Terry Pratchett are definitely very true. Also,
Cathay and Warhammer. Isn't
yeah,
Cathay a
Cathay.
real place?
Cathay is the old name for China, yes.
Yeah.
Like the old English name. Although I still get pissed off because Nihon or Nippon is so much closer than Japan. I still don't understand why we don't say Nihon because it doesn't sound that hard to say. It's mostly the same noise.
A miscommunication through Dutch that made it become Japan.
It's either no, I think it's Portuguese.
Oh, Portuguese, yeah. It's I knew it was like
I think it's Portuguese.
Yeah, it's like a mistranslation through another language that made it become Japan.
Yeah, but this is fantasy China or like fantasy extended Chinese sphere of influence. It is all ruled by the emperors. Like Tianxi is the divine empire. But all of these different regions and areas run themselves. Like the emperors have very little to do with them. The only one of these that is actually ruled by ruled directly, and it's only because like they wouldn't let Dragon Knights not have a dragon in charge is up here. So a dragon does rule up here, but the rest of the place is just ruled by regular old plebs.
And and are these dragons nicer dragons than the other dragons, or do do they have the similar
dispositions?
Yeah,
they. The best way of thinking of them is that like I like them as being like Chinese dragons in myth. They are very aloof. They aren't necessarily uncaring all the time, and they can lean towards being nice once in a while. But they're still like they still have ambition. They're still like that in that sense, but they are much more concerned with the longevity of their situation, and they will treat their people well, not necessarily kindly. They don't like eat people or kidnap people or do anything like that, but like absolutely they will ruthlessly put down rebellions in exactly the same way that like emperors did. They're not mean and bad, and I wouldn't say they were friendly, and I wouldn't say they were nice either. I would say that they were exactly like Chinese emperors. Like,
Gotcha. So they might be a little bit more fun than the ones up in Haliashnar.
yes, those are European dragons. Those are tyrants. Now
Gotcha.
Also, did I hear a mini meow?
you did hear a mini meowing,
Yeah,
because she's very
okay.
mad at me. She's not like it's not her tea time for another 45 minutes, but she's decided. So she's getting fuss right now.
Yeah.
But yeah. But like I said, if we go to TNC, I have to massively update this map because I need a lot more islands. And I need to put in way more places. But I also wanted to because when I did the place names for these, because there's obviously Japanese has Chinese characters in it. I used the Chinese characters so that the characters for places were standardized. But I think in future, I want to redo this and I want to put the place names in like kind of their own alphabets, because like this is in Chinese characters. I'm pretty sure I didn't even do Korea in I didn't even do Korea in Korean characters. So I would like to do that differently, to point out that there's lots of writing styles in this part of the world. Oh, and also, Tianxi is very bureaucratic. They run the entire empire through their bureaucrats rather than their nobles.
That's where the got the gravity legs being then.
No, yeah, he hangs out just here. He's there to remind the Tibetan monks, like, no, gravity's very real. Also, like, it's really fun with this because Tianxi is by far the largest continent. Like, Tianxi has more land than basically if you put all the continents over here into one landmass. I'm pretty sure Tianxi is more land than it. So this distance is just insane around these mountains. Yeah, that's exactly it, Nemeth. If you treat them correctly, they will treat you very fairly. But if for 1 minute you think that you're going to try and pull the other one over them, you're done.
Mm-hmm. It's not that they have a disposition, it's that their emotions are very much in charge.
Yes. And they are also the wiggly dragons as well, if everyone wasn't sure.
I'm afraid we already made that assumption.
Yeah, they're wiggly, and then the European ones are chonky. Then this is Indonesia and, well, sorry, it's the islands, not just Indonesia, and the Indian subcontinent and places like that. This is Fantasy Philippines, if you couldn't tell from the shape of it, because it's vaguely the shape of the Philippines.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna crib notes, the real world is a great place to take them.
And this one's fun too, because so Tropto is known as the sunken continent, because it's mostly very shallow seas all around it, and also it has the unfortunate position of when the explosion happened all the way up here, destroying the city, the falling material, because these places were obliterated and pushed further, and mountains rose up, a lot of it was lost. But Tropto, being much flatter and further away from the blast, preserves a lot more of it, which is the reason why it has the millions of little pockmarked lakes all over it. Because it's the debris that fell back.
Yeah, craters.
But I like things like that when I did them. They're cool.
Hmm.
And then this is where American food can be found. Theron. If you want it. And oh, this is Fantasy Africa.
I see.
Yeah. I should do a better version of the world map, but oh my god, will it take so long?
No doubt. No doubt.
Have I done combined? I don't think I've done a combined of the two northern continents yet. No, I haven't. Of the new versions of the maps. Yeah. Lots going on. Oh, also, this is all storms in here. That's why it's hard to get between Challenger and Theron. This is all storms.
Oh, okay.
And one day we'll go all the way over here. One day.
Mm.
Pirates campaign. Where do you want to be pirates, Em?
Where doesn't M want to be pirates?
Because the
Probably
free
up on
water.
the ice.
Yeah, that's true. Ice pirates wouldn't be a thing that I think a lot of people would be down for. Because the free water kleptarchy is here in Dabbler's Cove.
Dang pirates stealing my ice.
And then the other pirate, Theron has a version of pirates which is called Cove, in the Gulf of Alok over here. I think I have a more up-to-date map of Theron. Oh yeah, it's not current date, but it's more up-to-date. Where are the Japanese pirates? They're not on the map currently. Hello, Minnie. Thank you. You're still half an hour early, but carry on. Minnie wants to be a pirate? Probably. Why is this one taking so long to load?
He's very good at getting water out of things that are holding water.
True. What's that? I need that now. Oh, there we go. It's opened. Yeah, so Saw Cove, there's the pirates in the Gulf of Alok. I believe I have uploaded the political map for Theron. Yes, I have, but it's currently not visible. But this is a whole other continent that is actually bigger than Challenger, so that has all it mapped and politicaled and all the rest of it. So you can go to the other half of the world and you'll have the same amount of stuff. Oh, I never did name all the lakes and forests in this map. Sigh. One day. But I want to do the map of Tianxi in this updated style because, like, as you can see, I have way more of the effect of what I want on the coast and stuff. Because Tianxi has like shredded coastlines with just like islands everywhere, which is the reason why there's so many islands down there. Because it's the biggest chunk of land and all the land broke off it, so it has more broken bits. And I can do my longshore drift. Longshore drift. I love it.
Anyone
So
know what he's talking about?
No.
look, my sandbar, not sandbar, sandbar, longshore drift. So the water flows here, and the water comes past here, and it pulls the sand along, and it makes very long islands.
Okay.
So that's why I have at the ends of these bays all these long islands, because that's the way the water flows.
Okay.
I like maps. Popping noise. You want Popcat Forest. Also, I'm pretty sure that, yeah, so this is one of my favorite bits. I spent 2 hours trying to tidy up this thing from the forest because it didn't cut it properly. But yeah, there's little bits of forest that are in the sea that aren't supposed to be there. It just reminded me of the meme Em keeps sending me where when I look at models and I keep finding things that are wrong. That's exactly how I feel about these maps. Oh, and there's your steampunk people, because I know Em's asked about them before. The Vimniks. They are steampunk. I'll just zoom in on that for fun. Now, if
New.
you
That's one U away from being an interesting spot.
well, I mean, it depends how your accent is for whether or not it's really good.
New Australia.
Yep.
Mm,
Well, I mean, I would say it
Ted-
as Australia, but you can say it as Australia if you want.
Australia.
But I say Australia.
Australia.
Tweeth. Would you like to go to Tweeth?
Does it hurt?
I don't think so.
Mm. Interesting.
Capitandium. Yay, Capitandium. I love that place.
Hmm.
Never been there in a campaign, but I love it.
It's got a good name. Okay,
But
so
yeah.
you've
We are
covered
at
quite a lot.
yes, we have. And I don't think that any significant questions have come up. So unless something else takes place next week, there will not be a D&D stream from me next week. That's the way I'll phrase it.
Yeah. There,
But
there, there, there might be something else depending on things people say
twoo.
or think or do or whatever. But we'll talk about that later, and we'll be sure to keep people informed because we wouldn't want you to go without something to watch on a Sunday afternoon.
Sure. Oh no, Poke. Please no. This map was made so long before that meme became a thing. It is not named after that meme. I made this map 4 years ago. I'm so disappointed in Poke.
But good on you for trying to keep the meme alive.
This made so. I mean, I thought people would like Nerd Ditch.
Nerdic.
Yeah, so with that, people, you are more than welcome. All of the things is posted in the lore thing, and I've sent most of the documents to the you guys anyway, more directly. So if you miss things or you want further elaboration on things, please ask. I will inform. I obviously have many more notes that I can call upon, and also I can just come up with crap.
Very true.
Let's get this back to here. Is that where we want to be? Yes, that's where we want to be.
I want to be in the UK.
Wow. Well, that's a challenge there, so there you go. Mostly. But yeah. So we might. Oh, I might see people next Sunday, but there will not be a OwO related D&D stream next Sunday. Is the TLDR. But I am going to send these lovely people on their way. Because this was a very nice bonus stream. Apologies for so much exposition, but hopefully it was useful.
Well, I mean, that's what we were here for.
Exposition. So I'm going to say ta-ta to you lovely people for now. I mean, I'll be back in a minute or two, but you know how it be. I have to feed Minnie after this, though, so it will be a few minutes.
Understood.
But
may you survive the encounter with the beast.
I'm sure I will. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye, 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 bye.
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 Okay, everyone. Thank you all so much for hanging out. Thank you, Jade, for the watch streak. Thank you, Jojo, for the watch streak. Thank you, Devil, for the watch streak. I hope you all have very fun with this bonus episode. Like I said, the documents are all in the Kithmeros lore section on the Discord, because this isn't secret stuff. And if you ever have questions, there is a channel on Discord, which is campaign discussion, and yes, just campaign discussion is where you would ask questions and talk about that. If you're interested in world stuff and you want to ask me something, you are more than welcome to do so, because I am a massive nerd and I will talk about it. So, with that, we are going to... who do we want to raid? Let us do a raid. Lollop's doing 7 Days to Die. That's probably pretty chill. Minecraft, The Falling Gentleman. Yeah, sure. Let's go raid Lollop. And here is some messages for you. I will be live again tomorrow for a reasonably special stream, barring any mega interruptions. Because I'm going to be playing some WoW on stream for the first time. To see how that goes. Because I asked, and people said they would be interested. So I will do a stream. I will do a stream of it. Because if chat wants, chat gets. So that'll be fun. Yeah. I will see you all in the future. Have yourselves a lovely rest of your day. Yeah, I'll keep everyone posted in the Discord and stuff with what is occurring D&D wise. But there will not be one next Sunday. There will most likely not be one the following Sunday because the book will have only come out on the 3rd. So I will need time to read. But possibly there might be something that Sunday. It will depend how far I get and how far everyone else gets and how far we can talk beforehand, because obviously I want people to have time to process. So, bye everybody. Bye. Have a lovely time. Toodaloo. Bye. You know you don't have to be